Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Dr. Marquez Ophthalmology Tutorials. Today we will discuss about visual field defects which are seen in glaucoma patients. Okay, this video is only for undergraduate students. I will be making video for postgraduate students in detail later. Okay, so before going to the assessment of the visual field defect in glaucoma patients, you should always know the arrangement of retinal nerve fiber layers, how they exit the optic disc, how they are arranged to each other. So which fibers represent which field of vision, which are the fibers which are more susceptible in glaucoma or the raised IOP, and which are the fibers which are more resistant to IOP damage. Okay, so all this I have explained in my introduction video about the glaucoma. If you have not watched the video, I have dropped the link in description box. Please watch the video. Okay, so I will be telling about all this very briefly in this video. So before going to the visual field assessment proper, you should know what is the meaning of visual field. So visual field is nothing but if you are looking straight at some point, you are still able to make out the surrounding areas. Okay, so that is called as the visual field. By definition, it is the hill of vision in the sea of darkness, and also be said as the entire area which can be seen when the eye is fixed straight at a point. Okay, so that is the visual field. So what is the normal visual field of a person? Means the area how much he can cover when he is fixing at some point. Okay, in this example, the left eye of the patient, okay, this is the nose, the left eye of the patient. When the patient is looking straight ahead, he can cover up to 60 degrees on the nasal field of vision. Okay, similarly 60 degrees superiorly, because superiorly we have the brows, okay, which are coming in the way, and nasally we have nose. So the field of vision is little restricted here to 60 degree. Temporally we have maximum field of vision of 100 degrees, and inferiorly it is 70 degrees. Okay, so this is a normal visual field a person can have when he is looking straight at some object. So, to quickly recap about the retinal nerve fiber layer arrangement. So this is the right eye fundus picture. Okay, so this is the optic disc. So the fibers which are coming from nasal side. So the nasal retinal nerve fibers come directly and get exited through the optic disc. The fibers which are coming from the macular area form what is known as the papillomacular bundle. Okay, and they exit through the optic disc. Whereas the fibers which are coming from the temporal half of the retina arch over this papillomacular bundle, and these fibers are called as arcuate fibers. Okay, arcuate fibers, and these fibers exit through the temporal part of the optic disc. Okay, and these fibers are more vulnerable for the damage due to glaucoma. So these arcuate fibers are more damaged in the glaucoma. That's why we have the typical field defect of superior arcuate and the inferior arcuate defect. Okay, so these are the superior and inferior radiating fibers which are coming from the nasal side. These are the arcuate fibers which are coming from the temporal aspect, and these are the papillomacular bundle which is coming from the macular area. And these papillomacular bundle fibers are more resistant for the damage due to glaucoma. That explains why the central field of vision is preserved till the end in glaucoma. Okay, so how we can measure the visual field of a person? So this process of measuring the visual field of a person is called as the perimetry. So this can be broadly classified as those which can be done in the clinics or bedside examination, that is called as confrontation test, and the another one is by using the machines which are meant for the perimetry. Okay, in that we have two types again, the kinetic perimetry and the static perimetry. So I will be explaining about the confrontation test, kinetic perimetry and the static perimetry, grossly how to do and what is the major difference between all these, and what are the major visual field changes which occur in the glaucoma patients. Okay, and in all the visual field test, the one eye is examined at a time, because there is an overlap between the visual fields of both the eyes, so you will not get the exact field effect if you do binocularly. Remember that there will be 40% of the retinal nerve fiber layer loss before the visual field defect manifest. Okay, confrontation test, it's a bedside test. Here grossly you can assess the visual field of a person. So do intraocular examination. Suppose in this patient, if you want to examine the right eye, ask the patient to close the left eye, and the examiner will close the right eye, and ask the patient to fixate at examiner's left eye or the nose. Then the examiner will bring the moving object or the fingers from the non-seeing area to the seeing area, means from periphery to the center. Okay, so the examiner will slowly move the object from the periphery to the center and asks the patient when he is able to see. So when the patient is seeing and when the examiner is seeing should be at the same time. That indicates that patient is having normal visual field. Otherwise, just make a note where the patient is seeing the fingers. So that indicates the border of the visual field in that particular quadrant. So this is demonstrated in the video next. So this is the easy test to assess the visual fields grossly. This is more useful in case of neurological field defects rather than in the glaucoma field defect, because there it is so striking that patient will have that exact hemianopia which you can make out on confrontation test itself. Coming to the other two types of perimetry where we use the machine, that is the kinetic perimetry and the static perimetry. This kinetic perimeter is named after Dr. Hans Goldmann, who is a European ophthalmologist who did lot of work on the visual field examination. So in kinetic perimetry, we have an example, that is Goldmann's type of perimetry, as well as the automated octopus type of perimetry. So in the kinetic perimetry, the stimulus size and brightness is held constant. A trained perimetrist will move the stimulus from the non-seeing area to the seeing area, and then he will map the visual field which the patient is appreciating. So this is the kinetic perimetry. So here the perimetrist is doing the job. So this can be done by automated thing also, that is done in automated octopus type of perimetry. The advantages of this kinetic perimetry is faster compared to your static type of perimetry, but it can make out only the advanced visual field defects. And here the learning curve for the patient is less compared to your static type of perimetry. So coming to the static perimetry. The example for this is the Humphreys perimeter. So this is the Humphreys perimeter, what you are seeing. So this is the machine called as Humphreys perimeter. So this is the display board. Here actually this side the patient will sit. Here the patient will sit. You can see a ball like thing here. This has some background illumination. Over that multiple stimulus will be given to patient. Means there will be multiple spots which will be coming and stimulating the patient. Procedure is the patient is made to place this chin or this chin rest. Okay, we will occlude one eye, and the other eye is made to fixate at the fixating target which comes here in the center, and the patient should constantly watch that fixating target. And whenever the machine gives some stimulus, bright stimulus, patient will have to press the response button. Okay, here the machine will monitor the fixation of the patient, and it will project the stimulus and sees whether the patient is giving correct response. Means the patient is pressing the response button when he is seeing. So that is the correct response. The other responses, like he may not press the button when he is seeing the object, or he may press the button when he is not seeing the object. So they are taken as false positives and the false negatives. So that will also be recorded by the machine, and the final data is analyzed. Okay, it will match that data with the normal population, whether this patient is having normal field of vision compared to the normal population, or he is having defective field. So that everything will be analyzed by this machine, and then it is displayed over the monitor, so that we can take the printout and we can study the visual field. So this is how the static perimetry works. Let me explain the normal field of a person. Suppose the patient is looking at some point, so that is taken as the fixating point here, and this circle represents 10 degrees around that fixating point. This is 20 degrees around that fixating point, and the third one is 30 degrees away from the fixating point. And we have this red spot, that is the blind spot, which is corresponding to the optic disc, which lies somewhere around 15 degrees from the fixating point or the macula. In the glaucoma patients, we are concentrating mainly on the Jerum's area. So what is Jerum's area? It is nothing but 10 to 24 degrees away from the fixating point. Okay, so this area, this whole thing is called as the Jerum's area. We are concentrating on this area because the visual field loss which occurs in the glaucoma is seen more commonly in this area. Okay, because that corresponds to the nerve fiber damage which occurs in the arcuate fibers. So what can happen in the glaucoma? There can be isopter contraction. So what is isopter here? So if you plot the visual field of a person, suppose I am doing confrontation or any other method of examination, and I found that this is the border of the visual field. This border indicates the isopter. So in glaucoma, there can be contraction of this isopter, means the visual field can gradually decrease in size. Okay, so that is called as the isopter contraction, but it is not a specific sign for glaucoma. In various other conditions as well. The next is the bearing of blind spot. Means when you plot the visual field of a glaucoma patient, this is the visual field of this glaucoma patient which is shown in the black color. You can see that this blind spot has come out of the patient's visual field. So that's why it is called as bearing of blind spot. And even the bearing of blind spot is a non-specific sign. The next is the paracentral scotoma. This is the first specific sign of the glaucoma patients. So it lies in the germs area or the arcade area here. Okay, somewhere above or below the blind spot in the arcade area. So this is called as the paracentral scotoma. So if the paracentral scotoma continues and joins with the blind spot, then it will form something called as sedal scotoma. Okay, can you appreciate here? There is one scotomatous area which is in continuity with the blind spot, giving rise to the appearance of sedal. So that's why it's called as sedal scotoma. So if this sedal scotoma continues, what happens? So this comes like this, and then it involves whole of the germs area and then comes and touches the horizontal raphe. Then that is called as the arcade defect of the germ scotoma. As you can see, the scotomatous area is coming from the optic disc, going in the arcade region and then stopping at the horizontal raphe. This is one of the important factors which you should note, that the field defects in the glaucoma respect the horizontal meridian. Means they will not cross the horizontal meridian, whereas in other neurological disorders they respect the vertical meridians, means they will not cross the vertical meridian. Okay, so this is about the arcade scotoma. So similar thing, if it happens inferiorly, it will also come and stop here at the horizontal raphe, forming a double ring scotoma or the ring scotoma. So when these two arcades from the superior and the inferior are meeting, they may not meet exactly at the same point. Okay, they are leaving some step here. So these are called as the nasal step of Rene as well as the peripheral step of Rene. Okay, what happens is there may not be equal involvement of the nerve fibers superiorly and inferiorly. Means there may be damage more in the superior half or there may be more damage in the inferior half. So when they meet, they may not exactly coincide like this, and they will give a step-like thing called as the nasal or the peripheral step of Rene. So now it has formed a ring scotoma or the double arcade scotoma, and this scotoma can extend peripherally also as well as it can extend centrally also. So when it extends peripherally, it is called as the peripheral field defect. And in advanced glaucoma, as it extends to the center, it will just leave a central field of tubular vision. Okay, just when you see through a tunnel or the tube, what you see, that much of the visual field patient will be having. That is called as central field of tubular vision, or the patient may have some part which is spared in the temporal area. And this temporal island of vision is more resistant and is lost in the end, leaving the patient with no PL also. These are the visual field changes which we see in glaucoma patients. So practically when the patient sees, this is how he will be seeing. Suppose if he closes one eye and sees with the left eye. So here is the field defect. Patient is not able to appreciate this part. Suppose he closes the right eye and sees with the left eye, he will not be able to see this part. But when he sees with both the eyes open, he may miss the field defects which are there in the both eyes, and he may see it as normal. And that's the reason why we get the glaucoma patients at the end where there is advanced field loss. Because there is some amount of overlap, patient may not appreciate the visual field changes which is happening. So in this picture, so these are the printouts of the visual field changes which are seen in Humphreys type of perimeter, and this is what actually patient sees. As you can see here, there is little enlargement of the blind spot. Okay, that is seen as a scotoma here. Here there is paracentral scotomas. Okay, which are appreciated here. These paracentral scotomas are joining the optic disc to form the arcade defect, okay, which is well appreciated in this picture. And when it is advanced glaucoma, you can see that there is double arcade scotoma, okay, leaving just a tubular field of vision. So what are the field defects in other neurological disorders? In other disorders like the papilledema, the area around the blind spot is increased, means the scotomatous area is around the blind spot only, the rest of the field will be normal. And in other macular disorders, there can be just a scotomatous area around the macula. In some cases of the toxic amblyopia, there is something called a centrocecal scotoma. The scotomatous area will be involving the optic disc and extending up to the macular area or the fixating area. So these are the defects which are seen in other neurological disorders. So hope you like my video on the visual field assessment in glaucoma patients for undergraduates. If you like my videos, please do subscribe to my channel. Press the bell icon for further notifications. Please do like and share my videos. Thank you so much.